Are you scared the way your heart races when you realize that you may care a bit too much? Or the crushing weight of heartbreak when love doesn't go as planned? Love, what a strange word. We all claim to know it, yet no one can truly define it. Sometimes love can make you feel on the top of the world. Other times it can make you the most miserable man to ever live. The crushing feeling of a heartbreak. Most of us have experienced it, and you would probably agree that this kind of pain is unique in a sense. It's not like a broken bone or a fever. It seeps into your thoughts, your soul, your sense of self. It makes the world feel smaller, dimmer, as if someone has stolen the color from your life. Some people, after getting crushed by this universal event, they give up on love. They don't want to risk feeling that way ever again, so they reject the idea completely, deeming love as something that doesn't even exist. This state of romantic nihilism doesn't really last, for a simple reason that we are human. We keep coming back to love over and over again like moths to a flame. We risk it all for something that has the power to shatter us. But what if I told you that it did not have to be this way? What if love didn't have to crush you? Growing up, you exist within communities, groups, people in general. Before gaining any experience, you get to observe the experience of others. Your understanding of love is shaped by the relationships of the outsiders, which leads to this silly idea that love has to be perfect to be real. You see it everywhere. Stories about soulmates, happily ever afters, and eternal devotion. They teach you that love must be flawless, eternal, and most importantly, unconditional. Anything less than that feels like a failure. If only we could just find the one, our soulmate, then the jigsaw would finally fall into place and we would never have to be alone again. Except, we don't live in a fairy tale. Life doesn't always have happy endings, and perhaps we have become obsessed with the one, as if another human could ever complete us. In Buddhism, there is a parable about the two arrows of suffering in life. After being hit by the first arrow, what you experience is the actual pain, like heartbreak, loss, or betrayal. Your misfortune doesn't stop there because you get hit by another arrow that represents suffering caused by your reaction to the unfortunate event. The first arrow is inevitable. Love will hurt sometimes. Heartbreak, loss, betrayal, rejection. These are the risks of being human, of opening ourselves up to something as unpredictable as love. No matter how careful you are, no matter how much you try to protect yourself, the first arrow will always find you. But the second arrow, that one is different. The second arrow is the one we shoot ourselves. It's the suffering we create in our own minds, endless replaying of what happened, the what-ifs, self-blame, resentment. It's the belief that because love didn't last forever, it was never real. It's the myth that the heartbreak defines us, that we will never love again, that we were fools to even think that we were good enough. Seneca once said that we suffer more in our minds than in reality, and he was right. The pain of love doesn't come only from what happens to us, but from the meaning we attach to it. But here's the truth. It doesn't have to devour you. Not if you learn to see the arrows for what they are. The first arrow, it's life. It's the price of admission for being alive, for daring to care. But the second arrow, that's not love's fault. It's ours, because we are the ones who load the bow. We aim it, we fire. Think of it like this. When a storm hits, you don't blame the sky for the rain. You find shelter. You wait. You learn to dance in the puddles. But when love leaves us, we don't just mourn the loss. We drown ourselves in the flood of our own making. We rewrite history, turning fleeting moments into epic tragedies. We cling to the idea that if love truly existed, it would have been bulletproof, eternal, perfect. Nietzsche called this our addiction to eternal truths. He urged us to practice amor fati, the love of fate. Do not seek for things to happen as you wish, he wrote, but wish for them to happen as they do. In other words, stop demanding love to be flawless. Let it be a storm, let it be a fire, let it be something that transforms you, not something you can chain to your expectations. Kintsugi is the Japanese practice of repairing broken pottery with gold, not to hide breaks, but to honor them, to say, this too is a part of my story. It made me more beautiful. Albert Camus would have loved this. He believed life's lack of inherent meaning isn't a curse, but rather a canvas. The struggle itself is enough to fill a man's heart, he wrote. So why not treat love the same way? Not as a quest for perfection, but as a work of art. Messy, unfinished, radiant in its imperfection. Even Schopenhauer, the notorious pessimist, agreed. He called love a cosmic trick played by the nature to propagate the species. But buried in his cynicism was a radical truth, that if love is an illusion, then we're free to redefine it. To strip away the fairy tales and build something real, something that doesn't promise forever, but has meaning today. So yes, love isn't perfect, nor is it eternal. We are bound to experience pain of loss, rejection and disappointment. But here comes the neat part. The certainty that someday we might fall out of love, or that the sparkle goes away, makes it that much more beautiful. To love someone is a radical act of courage. To risk your peace for a person who could walk away. To plant a garden in a storm and say, I'll tend it anyway. Sure, it might hurt. You might lie awake wondering if it all was a waste. But remember this, regret isn't the price of love. It's the tax on playing it safe. To love is to risk without guarantees. To say, I choose you even though I cannot know the ending. No fairy tales, no soulmates. Just two people building a bridge, brick by brick, over the chasm of doubt. When you finally understand this, you'll realize that the risk is the reward. The pain is the proof. Every heartbeat you gave to someone, even if it ended, was never wasted. It was a hymn to what it means to be alive. So the next time your heart races, not from fear, but from the sheer terrifying thrill of caring too much, remember, you are the one holding the bow. You always have.